Journey to the West, Chapter 27, The Ginseng Fruit. The Tang monk trembled with fear. The animals showed their fangs.
Master!
Cried Wukong. The monkey was running fast. He swung his iron bar and the animals ran back into the forest. Wukong smiled.
Sorry for making the horse run, Master. I thought it would be funny.
The Tang monk frowned.
It wasn't funny at all. Those beasts were going to attack me.
Nonsense.
Said Wukong.
You never have to fear any wild animals. You have 3 powerful companions.
Ba Jie and Wu Jing soon caught up to them. They all continued along the road. The Tang monk pointed to a building up ahead.
That looks like a Taoist abbey.
I'm sure the abbey's priests will let us rest for a while,
said Wu Jing. When they reached the abbey, Ba Jie knocked on the door. 2 priests opened it.
I'm here with the Tang monk,
said the pig.
May we come in?
The priests looked at the Tang monk.
Our master told us about you.
Said one of them.
He said you would travel past our abbey someday. Please, come in.
Who's your master?
Asked the Tang monk.
How did he know about me?
Our master is the great immortal,
said the first priest.
He is very wise and powerful.
Wukong laughed.
I've never heard of him. I doubt he's very powerful.
The Tang monk scowled.
Show some respect, Wukong,
he whispered. The priests looked annoyed.
Our master is visiting friends in heaven right now. If he wasn't powerful, he wouldn't be able to do that.
Wukong shrugged.
I used to live in heaven. The place isn't that great.
Wukong,
said the Tang monk.
Please go outside and tend the horse.
Wukong went back outside. Wu Jing went out to get the bags.
May I use the kitchen?
Asked Ba Jie.
I want to cook some food for the Tang monk.
It's through that door,
said one priest. He pointed to a door in the back of the room. Ba Jie went into the kitchen while the Tang monk talked to the priests.
There's a ginseng tree behind the abbey,
said one priest.
Its fruit takes 10,000 years to become ripe. According to legend, 1 bite of the fruit will make you live forever. Would you like one?
A fruit like that is a true treasure,
said the Tang monk.
Will your master be upset if I eat it? Our master said we could give you one,
said the other priest.
We'll go and cut one down.
The 2 priests went outside. A moment later, they came back in with a tray. The Tang monk screamed. On the tray lay a tiny sleeping baby.
I can't eat that,
cried the monk.
It's a baby!
It's not a baby,
said one priest.
It's a ginseng fruit. It only looks like a baby to you because you're immortal.
Please take it away,
cried the Tang monk. The priests tried to convince him that the fruit wasn't a baby. But the monk just shook his head. The priest took the ginseng fruit out of the room and into a hallway.
We shouldn't waste this fruit,
said one priest.
No,
said the other.
It is too delicious and valuable. Let's eat it ourselves.
The 2 priests shared the ginseng fruit. Ba Jie was in the kitchen nearby. He had heard everything they'd said. His stomach growled.
That fruit sounds wonderful,
said Ba Jie to himself.
I want some too.
Journey to the West, Chapter 28, Wukong leaves his body. Bajie looked out the kitchen window. Wukong and Wu Jing were outside talking.
Wukong, Wu Jing,
Said the pig quietly.
come over here. I want to tell you something.
The two companions came over to the window.
What is it?
Asked Wu Jing.
I heard the two priests talking.
Said the pig.
There's a ginseng tree at this abbey. They said its fruit is delicious and valuable.
Wukong smiled.
The fruit must taste wonderful.
We should eat some.
Said Wu Jing. Bajie rubbed his belly.
Yes,
He said.
we should.
You two wait here.
Said Wukong.
I'll go pick some of that fruit.
The monkey went behind the abbey and found the giant ginseng tree. The fruit sparkled in the sunlight. He plucked 3 pieces from the tree's branches and went back to the kitchen. He handed Bajie and Wu Jing each a ginseng fruit. Wu Jing took a bite.
This fruit is delicious.
Yes,
Said Wukong.
it truly is.
Bajie opened his mouth wide and threw his ginseng fruit in. Gulp,
Bajie, you should be ashamed of yourself.
said Wukong.
You didn't even chew.
I was too hungry to chew.
Said the pig.
Oh,
He groaned.
and now I wish I had another ginseng fruit. I didn't even taste that one.
At that moment, the 2 priests were walking past the kitchen.
Did you hear what the pig said?
Whispered one priest.
I think the Tang monk's companions are eating the ginseng fruit.
The 2 priests ran outside and searched the ginseng tree. 3 pieces of fruit were gone,
This is terrible.
said one priest.
The great immortal will be very upset.
They ran inside and found the Tang monk.
Your companions are criminals.
Shouted one priest.
What are you talking about?
Asked the monk.
They stole some of our ginseng fruit.
Said the other priest. Just then, Wukong, Bajie, and Wu Jing walked in.
Thieves!
Cried the first priest.
How dare you call us thieves?
Shouted Bajie.
What did we steal?
Don't pretend you don't know.
Said the other priest.
You ate ginseng fruit from our master's tree.
Wu Jing wiped some juice from the side of his mouth. Wukong giggled.
What is so funny?
Asked the other priest. Wukong laughed harder and pointed at Bajie.
It was his idea.
You're the one who stole the fruit.
Cried the pig.
You're all thieves and liars.
Cried one of the priests.
We invited you into our abbey as guests, and you repay us by stealing from us.
The 2 priests yelled and yelled. They called Wukong and his companions all sorts of terrible names.
I don't want to listen to this.
Thought the monkey. He recited a quick spell and changed into a spirit form. He left his body standing in the room and went out behind the abbey. Wukong stood before the ginseng tree.
Those priests are rude.
He said to himself.
So what if we ate some ginseng fruit? They have no right to call us names.
Wukong grew very angry. Finally, he took out his iron bar and struck the tree. There was a loud crack, and the entire tree crashed to the ground. Wukong put the iron bar back in his ear and returned to his body. The priests were still yelling.
Stop yelling!
Commanded Wukong. The priests stopped yelling and looked at the monkey.
I think you made a mistake.
Said the monkey with a big smile.
Why don't you go outside to your ginseng tree and count the fruit again?
Journey to the West, Chapter 29, The Magic Sleeve.
I know we counted the fruit correctly,
Said one priest.
but we'll count again anyway.
The two angry priests went outside and gasped. The ginseng tree was lying on the ground. It was gray, and all its leaves were gone,
The tree is dead!
cried one priest.
That monkey must have done this!
But the monkey was inside the whole time.
Said the other priest.
How could he have been out here also?
He's a spirit!
Said the first priest.
He must have used magic!
He looked at the tree and shook his head.
This tree was older than heaven and earth. The monkey must be very powerful!
It would be dangerous for us to fight him.
Said the other priest.
Let's wait for our master, the great immortal, to return.
Inside the abbey, the Tang monk was scolding his companions.
We are guests here.
He said.
I am very upset you stole fruit from our hosts.
The priests came back in.
We owe you an apology.
Said one.
None of the ginseng fruit is missing after all.
Oh,
Said the Tang monk.
I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you for your apology.
Said Bajie. Wukong gave the priests a suspicious look. He knew they were lying, but he didn't know why.
You're all welcome to spend the night.
Said one of the priests.
Follow us.
The priest led the group to a small room in the abbey. The Tang monk and his companions went inside.
This is a nice room.
Said Bajie. Wukong noticed that the priests didn't come in. He was about to say something when one priest slammed the door shut. A lock clicked.
Wait!
Cried Bajie.
What kind of hosts are you? You locked us in!
Bam! He kicked the door.
Ow, my foot!
Bajie fell to the floor, rubbing his foot.
Why did they lock us in here?
Asked the Tang monk.
They're afraid of us.
Said Wukong.
I knocked down their ginseng tree.
What?
Cried the Tang monk.
I was angry at them.
Said Wukong.
They're probably planning to keep us locked in here until their master comes back.
The Tang monk glared at his companions.
How will I ever reach the Western Paradise with companions like you?
He asked. Bajie stood up.
It's not my fault. I was hungry.
Wu Jing looked at the ground.
Master, don't worry.
Said Wukong.
I'll get us out of here. When the priests go to sleep, I'll use my lock-picking magic. Then we'll be on our way.
The four travelers escaped that night and headed west. The next day, they saw an old man on the road.
Excuse me,
Said the man.
did you come from the Abbey?
The Tang monk glanced nervously at his companions.
Yes.
He said.
I thought so.
Said the man. He suddenly stood much taller.
I am the great immortal. You destroyed my ginseng tree. You're not going any farther until you give me a new one.
Wukong pulled out his iron bar. Bajie and Wu Jing raised their weapons. The great immortal rose into the air and landed on a cloud. Wukong laughed.
You think you're special just because you can fly? We can do that too.
The great immortal raised an eyebrow.
Can you do this? It's called Magic of the Cosmos in the Sleeve.
The great immortal waved his arm. His sleeve swooped down toward Wukong and his companions. Instantly, they were all swept up in it. Journey to the West, Chapter 30, The Frying Pan. Wukong and his companions were tied up in a room in the abbey,
I will deal with you all in the morning.
said the great immortal. He turned around and left the room. The Tang monk began to cry.
It's bad enough that there are dangers along the journey,
He said,
but my own companions are causing trouble for me.
Calm down, Master.
said Wukong.
We'll get out of this.
Master, this is all Wukong's fault.
Said Bajie.
He stole the ginseng fruit and he knocked down the tree.
Stealing the fruit was your idea.
Shouted the monkey.
I can't help it if I was hungry.
Said Bajie.
You should have refused to steal it.
Let's stop arguing and figure out how to escape.
Said Wu Jing.
I have a plan,
Said Wukong.
but we must wait until the great immortal is asleep.
Late that night, Wukong recited a spell. He shrank to the size of a pea and then slipped out from his ropes. He quickly untied his friends.
Let's go.
He whispered. The group tiptoed through the dark and silent abbey. When they got outside, the sun was beginning to rise,
That was easy.
said Bajie as they walked down the road,
I hope you all learned a lesson from this.
said the Tang monk. Suddenly, a voice boomed.
You can't escape from me.
The great immortal flew toward them. Wukong pulled out his iron bar and swung. The great immortal moved out of the way. Bajie struck with his rake, and Wu Jing stabbed with his spear. But the great immortal was fast. He waved his arm, and his sleeve shot toward the group. Once again, the travelers were swept up. Back at the abbey, the great immortal told his priests to start a fire,
Bring out a large frying pan.
said the great immortal.
We're going to fry these criminals. Let's start with Sun Wukong.
The priests carried an enormous frying pan into the room. They placed it over the fire,
Uh-oh.
thought Wukong.
I can sit on that frying pan all day and not get hurt at all. But the Tang monk is mortal. He'll be burned to a crisp.
He spotted a statue of a lion nearby. The monkey recited a quick spell and made the statue look exactly like himself. Then he disappeared,
Throw Sun Wukong into the frying pan.
said the great immortal. Thinking the statue was Wukong, the two priests tried to lift it.
This monkey is much heavier than he looks.
Said one priest, breathing heavily.
Yes,
Said the other priest, panting. They finally dragged the statue to the frying pan and dropped it in. Crack! The frying pan broke in half,
The monkey tricked us.
shouted the great immortal.
He made that statue look like himself.
That rotten monkey.
Cried Bajie.
He escaped without us.
do you really think he left us?
Asked the Tang monk.
Look around.
Said Bajie.
He's gone. He probably returned to the Fruit and Flower Mountain. I'm sure he's playing in a field of flowers right now. Meanwhile, we're trapped here.
I don't think he would leave us.
Said Wu Jing. The Tang monk started to cry. The great immortal shook with anger.
It's bad enough that Sun Wukong wanted to escape. But did he really have to break my frying pan too?
He stamped his foot.
Bring out another frying pan. We'll fry his companions, starting with the Tang monk.
Journey to the West, Chapter 31, Guan Yin's Vase. The two priests pushed the Tang monk toward the enormous frying pan.
Stop!
Cried Wukong. The priests stopped. The great immortal looked around. Wukong appeared and landed on the floor.
You came back!
Cried the Tang monk.
I was here the whole time.
Said the monkey. He gave Bajie a nasty look.
I didn't escape without you.
Wukong turned to the great immortal.
Please don't harm the Tang monk.
He said.
I will fix your ginseng tree, but I need to get help.
He's lying.
Said Bajie.
He doesn't know how to fix the tree.
Be quiet, Bajie.
Said Wukong.
I'm not lying.
The great immortal thought for a moment.
Okay, Wukong. I will give you until the end of the day to fix my ginseng tree. If you can't, the Tang monk goes into the frying pan.
The monk shook with fear.
Don't worry, Master.
Said the monkey.
I will find help. I'll be back as soon as I can.
Wukong shot out of the abbey and was gone. Bajie shook his head.
We're doomed.
Wukong soared through the air until he came to Mount Podalaka. Guan Yin was meditating in her pagoda.
Bodhisattva!
Cried the monkey.
I need your help! A Taoist named the Great Immortal is going to fry the Tang monk. I have until the end of the day to fix his ginseng tree.
What happened to the tree?
Asked Guan Yin. She gave the monkey a suspicious look.
I, knocked it down.
Said Wukong.
That was a terrible thing to do, Wukong.
Said Guan Yin.
The great immortal's ginseng tree is older than heaven and earth. It was a rare treasure.
The monkey shrugged.
I was angry.
You must learn to control your anger.
Said Guan Yin. The Bodhisattva stood up. She went to a shelf and grabbed a vase.
This vase is filled with magic dew,
She said.
It can bring spirit plants, such as the ginseng tree, back to life.
A short while later, Wukong and Guan Yin arrived at the abbey. Guan Yin told Wukong, Bajie, and Wu Jing to stand the tree back up. Guan Yin rose into the air and poured the dew over the ginseng tree. As the dew droplets rolled over the branches, light sparkled. The tree's color came back, and new leaves and fruit grew. Soon the tree looked just as it had the day before. To thank everyone, the great immortal decided to host a feast.
I would like to share some ginseng fruit with everyone here.
He said. Everyone went back into the abbey. The two priests brought in trays of ginseng fruits. Said Bajie.
This fruit tastes wonderful if you eat it slowly.
He looked at Wukong.
Sorry I didn't believe you earlier.
Don't worry about it.
Said the monkey. He took a bite of his fruit. The Tang monk looked nervously at his fruit.
It's safe to eat,
Guan Yin assured him. The monk took a bite and smiled. He looked at the ginseng fruit again.
It doesn't look like a baby anymore.
He said. The next morning, the travelers headed west along the road. Weeks went by as they continued their journey. They walked through rain and sunshine, heat and cold. Up ahead, an evil spirit named Lady Whitebone sat by the side of the road. She had been waiting by the road for years. On this day, she sniffed the air and smiled.
The Tang monk is finally approaching.
I will eat him up, and I will live forever.
Journey to the West, Chapter 32, Lady Whitebone. Lady Whitebone sat by the road and sniffed the air again.
The Tang Monk has some powerful companions,
She said.
I need a disguise.
Bajie dropped the bags.
I'm tired and hungry. Let's stop for lunch.
Using his magic sight, Wukong saw a peach orchard thousands of miles away.
I'll be back in a minute.
He said. Soon after the monkey had left, a young woman came down the road. She held out a bowl.
Are you the Tang Monk?
She asked.
I have food for you.
Bajie reached for the bowl.
Thank you.
Don't eat that!
Wukong was flying fast back to the group. He dropped all the peaches and pulled out his iron bar. Wham! He struck at the young woman, but before he hit her, she disappeared.
Why did you do that?
Cried the Tang Monk.
You're a human, Master.
Said Wukong.
You couldn't see that the woman was really a spirit who wanted to harm you. Unfortunately, she got away.
Why are you so cruel?
Asked the monk.
She was giving us food.
It's not food.
Said the monkey.
See?
He held up the bowl, which was filled with worms.
Don't believe Wukong.
Said Bajie.
He used magic to turn the food into worms.
The pig looked at the ground where the woman had been and shook his head.
Wukong hit her so hard there isn't anything left of her.
That's ridiculous!
Said Wukong. The monkey rolled on the ground as the Tang Monk recited the tight headband spell. Bajie laughed.
I didn't know you could do that, Master.
Just then, an old woman came down the road. The monk stopped reciting the spell, and Wukong stood up.
I'm looking for my daughter,
Said the woman.
She was bringing food to the Tang Monk.
Oh no!
Said the Tang Monk. Bajie stepped forward.
You should ask this monkey what happened to your daughter.
Wukong looked at the old woman closely for a moment. Then he took out his iron bar and swung. But again, he missed.
She got away again!
Cried Wukong.
He killed another innocent person!
Cried the pig.
Master, recite the spell!
The Tang Monk recited the spell again. Wukong fell to the ground in pain.
Please stop!
Cried the monkey. The Tang Monk stopped.
Don't hurt any more people.
He said.
If you do, I'll recite the spell until your head explodes.
Just then, an old man came down the road.
I'm looking for my wife and daughter.
He said.
That's the evil spirit woman again.
Thought Wukong.
If I don't destroy her, she'll harm the Tang Monk. But if I do hurt her, the monk will make my head explode.
Wukong sighed.
I must protect the Tang Monk no matter what.
He thought. Wukong whipped out his iron bar and swung. There was a puff of smoke. When the smoke cleared, a skeleton lay on the ground.
I got her!
Cried Wukong.
See? She was an evil skeleton spirit.
The Tang monk frowned.
Recite the spell again.
Bajie said to the monk.
I want you to leave, Wukong.
Said the Tang monk.
Master,
Said the monkey.
I just saved your life.
I don't believe you.
Said the monk.
Now leave or I'll recite the spell again.
Wukong became angry.
If you really want me to leave, I'll leave. But don't come looking for me when you need help.
He leaped into the air and vanished. Journey to the West, Chapter 33, Bajie Takes a Nap. After the Tang monk sent Wukong away, he and the others continued west. Later that day, they stopped to rest. Bajie sat down in the grass next to the road. He let out a great big yawn.
Bajie,
Said the Tang monk.
why don't you go find us some food? Wu Jing and I will wait here.
The pig moaned.
I just sat down.
He got back up.
This journey is too difficult.
He said. Then he wandered off. After a few minutes of walking, Bajie looked around. He was all alone.
I'm too tired to look for food.
He said to himself.
But if I go back now, Master will be angry.
He yawned.
I'll take a nap. When I wake up, I'll go back to Master. I'll tell him I searched everywhere but couldn't find any food.
The pig lay down behind some bushes. Soon he was snoring loudly. An hour later, the Tang monk and Wu Jing were still waiting by the road.
What is taking Bajie so long?
Asked the monk. Wu Jing looked annoyed.
He probably found food and is now eating it all himself. I'll go and look for him.
Wu Jing got up and headed down the road. Said a voice suddenly.
Yummy noodles.
Wu Jing frowned.
That's Bajie. He did find food and he's not sharing it with us.
Meanwhile, the Tang monk became bored. He stood up to stretch his legs. He looked around.
This is a beautiful forest.
He said to himself.
I'll take a short walk.
The monk walked quietly through the woods, admiring flowers and plants as he went. He went deeper and deeper into the forest. Then, in the midst of all the trees, he saw a pagoda.
This is a strange place for a pagoda.
He thought.
Maybe we can all stay here tonight.
The Tang monk went to the door of the pagoda and opened it. He gasped. A monster was sleeping inside. The monster had a purple beard and long, sharp fangs. The Tang monk tried to walk away, but the monster woke up.
Who's there?
Called the monster. He stood up. The Tang monk turned around, shaking with fear.
Sorry to wake you.
He said.
The
monster came closer and smiled.
You're a monk.
He said. He licked his lips.
Yes,
Said the Tang monk.
I'm from the Tang Empire.
The monster's eyes lit up.
You're the Tang Monk.
Meanwhile, Wu Jing stomped toward Ba Jie's voice. He peered behind some bushes and saw the pig fast asleep.
May I have more tofu?
Asked Ba Jie. He was talking in his sleep.
Yes, please, cook lots more. I will eat it all.
Wu Jing kicked the pig.
Wake up!
Ba Jie jumped to his feet, wiping drool from the side of his mouth.
How dare you sleep while we wait for you?
Said Wu Jing.
Now let's go back to Master.
The pig sighed. With his head hung low, he followed Wu Jing back to the road. But when they got there, the Tang monk was gone.
Maybe he went for a walk.
Said Wu Jing. He and Ba Jie wandered through the woods, looking for the monk. Soon, they saw the pagoda. They knocked on the door, and the monster answered.
Who are you?
Asked the monster. Wu Jing told the monster who they were.
We're looking for a monk.
The monster laughed.
I have a monk here. I'm going to eat him for dinner.
Journey to the West, Chapter 34, Tricked by the Princess. The Tang monk was tied up in a room. He heard his companions yelling at the monster.
Hand over the Tang monk now!
Shouted Ba Jie. Clang! The Tang monk heard the sound of weapons clashing.
I hope they rescue me.
Said the monk. A young woman entered the room.
Who are you?
Asked the Tang monk.
I'm a prisoner here.
Said the woman.
That monster kidnapped me 13 years ago and won't let me leave. Will you help me?
I wish I could help you.
Said the Tang monk. He showed the young woman his ropes.
I can help you get free.
Said the young woman.
If I do, will you deliver a letter to my parents?
Of course.
Said the monk.
Who are your parents?
They're the king and queen of the Precious Image Kingdom.
Said the young woman.
My name is Princess Hundred Flowers.
Ba Jie and Wu Jing were still fighting the monster when the princess ran outside.
Monster!
She cried.
I must ask you a favor.
Right away, the monster stopped fighting and turned to the princess.
What can I do for you, my sweet?
Asked the monster.
There's a monk inside.
Said the princess.
It makes me so sad to see him tied up. Won't you let him go?
The monster hesitated.
That monk isn't an ordinary monk. He's the...
Princess Hundred Flowers pretended to cry. The monster held up his hands.
Okay, sweetie. You know I only want you to be happy. The monk may go.
The monster followed the princess back inside. Ba Jie and Wu Jing looked at each other in confusion.
The monster is going to free him?
Mumbled Ba Jie. A moment later, the Tang monk came out.
There's something we must do.
He said quietly to his companions. Later that day, the travelers reached the palace of the Precious Image Kingdom. The queen was reading the letter from her daughter. Tears were in her eyes.
Our poor daughter,
said the queen.
She's been a prisoner all this time.
The king stood up, his eyes blazing with anger. He called to his general, who was standing nearby.
Gather your troops,
said the king.
I want my daughter back. And I want that monster destroyed.
Forgive me, Your Majesty,
said the general.
but we are just men. How can we defeat such a powerful monster?
My two companions are powerful spirits, Your Majesty.
The Tang monk spoke up.
I'm sure they can rescue your daughter.
Soon Ba Jie and Wu Jing were back at the pagoda. The pig swung his rake. Crash! The door exploded.
Get out here, you rotten monster!
He shouted. The monster ran outside.
You brutes!
He yelled.
I let the monk go free. Why did you smash my door down?
We're here for the princess.
Said Wu Jing.
The king of the Precious Image Kingdom sent us.
You can't take the princess away.
Said the monster.
We are in love.
Ba Jie and Wu Jing attacked. The monster blocked their weapons. They fought for over an hour. Finally, Ba Jie, tired from fighting, turned and ran. Wu Jing was furious.
Ba Jie!
He shouted.
Where are you?
The monster knocked out Wu Jing and tied him up. He dragged Wu Jing into the pagoda and locked him in a room.
The king knows that the princess is here.
Said the monster to himself.
But how?
He tapped his chin and thought.
Aha!
He said.
The princess must have asked that monk to go to the king.
His eyes became dark and angry.
She tricked me.
Journey to the West, Chapter 35, A Visit to the King.
Princess Hundred Flowers tricked me,
said the monster. He stamped his foot. Then he sighed.
I can't be angry with her. I love her too much. But that pig got away. He'll go back to the king and troops will come.
The monster thought for a minute. Finally, he had a plan. He went to the princess's room.
My sweet,
said the monster.
I'm going to visit your father.
What? Said Princess Hundred Flowers, in shock.
I'm going to tell him what a nice fellow I am,
said the monster.
We can all be a happy family.
Before the princess could say another word, the monster left the room.
I need a disguise.
He said to himself. He recited a quick spell. Light sparkled. Now the monster looked like a handsome young man. He laughed. Ba Jie ran back to the Precious Image Kingdom. He told the king that he and Wu Jing couldn't save Princess Hundred Flowers. The pig hung his head.
As I ran away, Wu Jing was captured.
We must save my daughter,
said the king. He turned to his general.
Gather the troops.
A messenger ran into the court.
Your Majesty, your son-in-law is here to see you,
said the messenger. The king was confused.
I don't have a son-in-law.
A handsome young man walked into the hall.
Hello, Father. I'm sorry I haven't visited you until now.
Who are you?
Asked the king.
I married Princess Hundred Flowers 13 years ago,
said the young man.
I found her in a forest just as a tiger was about to attack her. I saved her life and chased away the tiger.
The king relaxed a little.
That was very brave.
Yes, it was very brave.
Said the young man.
However, that tiger has wanted revenge ever since. Some time ago it became a spirit. Now it disguises itself as a monk.
The young man narrowed his eyes at the Tang monk and pointed.
That monk!
What?
Cried the Tang monk. The king frowned.
I don't believe you.
I'll prove it.
Said the young man. He pointed at the monk again and recited a spell. Lights sparkled. Everybody gasped. Now a tiger sat in the Tang monk's spot. Later in the stable, a boy was giving hay to the Tang monk's horse.
Did you hear about the Tang monk?
Asked another boy.
He was really a tiger spirit. A handsome young man changed him back into his true form.
Wow.
Said the first boy.
Where is the tiger now?
He's locked up in a cage.
Said the other boy. That night, Bajie was sitting alone outside when he heard a voice. Said the voice.
Bajie.
Bajie looked around.
Who's calling me?
He saw the horse peeking from behind a wall.
You're talking.
Cried Bajie.
Shh.
Said the horse.
We have a problem. A young man turned the Tang monk into a tiger. The monk is locked in a cage now.
Oh, I know.
Cried Bajie.
It's terrible. Master is now a tiger, and Wu Jing was captured by a monster.
He sighed.
The journey is over. Let's just go home.
The horse bit Bajie on the leg.
Ouch!
Cried the pig.
Why did you do that?
We're not going home.
Said the horse.
The young man is probably just the monster in disguise. We need to defeat him and save our companions.
But how?
Asked Bajie. The horse thought for a minute.
You must find Wukong. He can help us.
Bajie shook his head.
He won't help us.